90.7 KPFK, Los Angeles.
The following radio program has been approved for broadcast by the Federal Communications Commission and is in compliance with all community standards. Thank you.
From Los Angeles,
The Gary Harrison Files. Crack the code and break the lock. Racing shadows round the clock. We're the ones to find the truth for all the lost and hurtless youth. Yeah, we'll find the truth. The Gary Harrison Files.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? Well, you call low-cost airlines because they specialize in cheap flights, in discount hotel rooms, in cheap car rentals, and with the best price guarantee. Often 75% off. 901-235-1795. 901-235-1795. 901-235-1795. 901-235-1795. Let's talk about what's going on right now that is so exciting. There really are not words. Peter Thiel. Have you heard that name before? That's Thiel. He's a man who looks like what would happen if a Bond villain's tax attorney got hit by a beam of pure libertarian ambition and decided to become human. Peter. He's one of the big folks, way up high in your government now, except you've probably never heard of him. You never see about him, but you're going to hear about him today because he's apparently run out of governments to destabilize and is now going after theology itself. Not content with having built the Palantir surveillance apparatus that feeds your neighbor right into a deportation van. And not satisfied with having bankrolled a vice president who makes Mike Pence look like Hunter Thompson. This guy is a German-born, well, we'll leave an ellipsis after that because it's more than ironic. Peter Thiel has saddled up his apocalyptic hobby horse and has trotted directly to Rome, to a palazzo, steps from the Vatican. Because when you're going to explain who the Antichrist is, you may as well do it in the Antichrist's neighborhood. He's at an invitation-only event for his invitation, 4 lectures, no press allowed. Everyone has an NDA, which is exactly the kind of event the Antichrist would throw if you think about it, but we're not here to think about it. Herr Thiel's thesis is that the Antichrist isn't some horned, sulfurous beast crawling up from the pit. That's old Antichrist thinking. The new Antichrist is a bureaucrat, is a regulator, someone who wants to slow down technology in the name of, quote, safety. In Thiel's eschatology, the greatest threat to Western civilization isn't nuclear war. The greatest threat is not ecological collapse or the fact that Elon Musk is in charge of the government's accounting. The greatest threat to Western civilization by the guy who created Palantir, the guy who invented PayPal, the guy now in charge of all AI over the United States, the inventor of it, the greatest threat to Western civilization is, according to him, Greta Thunberg. Yep, Greta Thunberg, or Thunberg, a Swedish teenager with a disability, a braided pigtail, and a sailboat. Yeah, according to Peter Thiel, a foot soldier of Satan is she. He said this in leaked recordings with the serenity of a man ordering a flat white. He also named AI safety researcher Eliezer Yudowski, who is basically a guy who writes very long blog posts about robots, as a co-agent of the infernal. Yep, that guy. So the axis of evil, Thiel edition, consists of one anxious Jewish blogger and a Nordic girl who skipped school. Hell truly hath no fury like a billionaire who doesn't want his robot companies regulated. Now, this creator of both PayPal and Palantir didn't come up with this theological architecture entirely on his own. He had help specifically from Carl Schmitt. You're like, okay, great, Carl Schmitt. Carl Schmitt, the World War II Nazi legal theorist. See, when you're a libertarian tech oligarch shopping for intellectual frameworks, apparently the Nazi section is just the most ergonomically convenient aisle. Carl Schmitt argued that world history is a cosmic cage match, really, between the Antichrist and the catacon, which is a Greek for the restrainer. This is part of that wonderful Germanic mythology, the catacon with a K, the restrainer, something that is a force, keeps the Antichrist back and contained. In Carl Schmitt's version, strong continental empires like the Third Reich were the catacon, holding back the Antichrist. In Peter Thiel's remix, apparently, Peter Thiel is the catacon, he himself, which is a self-assessment that even his own mirror must find as a funhouse reflection. But what Thiel has essentially done is take regulatory policy debates, boring, important, democratic regulatory policy debates, and recast them as revelation. Should the EU regulate AI? Well, that's not a policy question anymore. That's prophesied satanic interference, or PSI, not pounds per square inch. Prophesied satanic interference, or prophesied. How do we even say that? How do we say that word? How often do we say that word? Never. Should there be international bodies governing weapons-grade machine learning? Brother, you just joined the Legion of Antichrist by asking that one, didn't you? Congratulations on your pitchfork. The Geneva Convention? Probably Beelzebub's HR department. Now, this is not mysticism. It's not even interesting heresy. It's a lobbying strategy wearing a cassock. It's deregulation fan fiction with footnotes from the book of Revelation. It's what you get when a man worth billions decides, I don't want oversight. And that same man needs an upgrade from op-ed to prophecy. This is, by the way, the Carrie Harrison Files, carrieharrison.com, C-A-R-Y. We're talking about PayPal and Palantir inventor Peter Thiel, who has flown to Rome, steps from the Vatican to tell hand-selected billionaires that climate scientists and AI regulators are literally agents of Satan. There's no press there, none allowed. Everyone has signed an NDA because it's not really happening. It's happening, but it's not really happening. No press because it's happening, but it's not really happening. And a Nazi legal theorist as his theological blueprint from 80 years ago from the Third Reich, the perfect way to understand the future as he sees it. We're looking exactly at what he's selling, who's buying it, and soon we're going to talk about how to make sure it's not you. That's the key thing. It's not like you need more poison in your news diet here. You need to know how to get through it and get around it. And we're going to get to that in a minute. Back to the fun, back to the frolic, back to the Vatican, which has seen some things, to be honest. It's been around for 2,000 years. It's watched emperors and then plagues, Borgia popes, the Reformation came and went. Looked at Peter Thiel, the Vatican did, doing his little Antichrist lecture series, like in a Renaissance palazzo around the corner. And remember, these are Protestants. These are not Catholics going in there in a Catholic spot. These are Protestants going in and talking about all of this stuff in a Catholic domain. And all of this is just so nuts in Third Reich. And the Vatican said, let's just say with the weary authority of an institution that has literally excommunicated kings, they said, quote, I'm going to quote here, that man is the dark side of technology, end quote. And the two Catholic universities that were originally attached to the event backed away so fast they left brown skid marks on the travertine. So, look, Peter Thiel, he's obviously an extremely intelligent man. This is what makes him so magnificently, operatically dangerous. He's not a kook. He's not preaching this in a parking lot to 11 people with sandwich boards or people with missing teeth. He's preaching it in a palazzo to 200 hand-selected tech. Excuse me. I need a sip of coffee. Delicious. He's preaching this in a palazzo to 200 hand-selected tech aristocrats and conservative Christian money changers, all bullwhipped with ferocious NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, with no press, not available. It's like banned. All while the president of the United States owes this same man a lot of favors. And the same vice president is his former mentee. So Peter Thiel was the mentor. The current vice president is his former mentee. And this guy is building, with some care and considerable financing, a theological immune system for American oligarchy, a complete spiritual framework in which every attempt to govern the powerful is recast as the work of Satan. And every billionaire who resists oversight is by definition doing the Lord's work. Wow. What a beautiful way to reframe global domination using technology to take over the entire planet. Mr. Thiel, as we speak, in Rome, doing this private symposium with no press. Everyone has an NDA. The richest billionaires and multi-hundred millionaires in the world who think like this, who want to have all the power. So an oligarchy of just a small bunch. He's sketching a world where only powerful elites with tools and nerve can steer history. Yep, not you. Oh, no, Mildred, not you. Only powerful elites with special tools and a lot of nerve can steer history. Oh, bring up the music. This isn't random Silicon Valley eccentricity. You're hearing an echo, a very old, very loaded echo that once marched in jackboots. He isn't out there goose-stepping through Rome or calling for a Fourth Reich. That's not the game. The game is subtler. It's slicker, dressed in Patagonia vests even, instead of uniforms. It's about borrowing the structure of thought without that icky branding from 80 years ago. It's the skeleton without the skull. And that's what makes it unsettling in a way that's less comic book villain and more quiet guy at the table who's a little too comfortable with extreme ideas. It's not, loud tyranny. It's intellectual permission for it. These tech billionaires, well, they love framework. What is technology? Nothing more than framework. That's it. That's what makes it work. It's like math. It has to balance. It has to fit. So tech billionaires and their framework, and why wouldn't they love that? It's got everything. This framework has conflict as inevitable. It has protests as irrational. It has stability only being achieved through identifying and isolating what they call the problem. Yep. Isolating and identifying the problem. Bring in Palantir. Surveil all the live humans, build dossiers on them, and then go after them. The problem, by the way, is code for you, Missy, as Mommy Dearest would say. So let's boil it down. Let's drain off the theatrics. And his argument it's really almost boring in its clarity. Systems are built to solve massive problems and can accumulate power in ways that become permanent and hard to unwind. That's it. No pitchforks required. Systems built to solve massive problems. You're the problem. You're the problem. Systems built to solve massive problems that can accumulate power in ways that become permanent and hard to unwind. Wow. So here are the 6 steps, the 6 Carrie Harrison Files steps on how to not get raptured up by a billionaire. You can think of yourself now as a member of a 6-step program. So here's the thing about Peter Thiel's little Revelation Roadshow that nobody in the invitation-only palazzo is going to tell you. It only works if you don't see it coming. Like everything else, the entire architecture of this grift, let's call it what it is. It's a grift wearing a doctoral robe. It depends on you being too busy, too exhausted, or too algorithmically marinated to notice that someone just repackaged "Don't regulate my companies" as the word of God. And the moment you name that trick, well, the trick stops working. Oops. So let's name every single one of them in good, clean radio fun. Step 1, learn to spot when policy gets dressed up as prophecy. This is the foundational con. It's older than Peter Thiel. It's older than Carl Schmitt. It's older than the Vatican itself. It's that old. Whenever someone tells you that a political position is cosmically ordained and that their preferred tax rate is divinely sanctioned, that their deregulation agenda is literally fighting Satan, your first instinct should be the same instinct you'd have if a stranger at a bus stop told you God personally wanted you to wire him $400. That instinct is called skepticism, and it's free. And it works on any operating system, and no billionaire can patent it. So ask yourself one question, just one. Who benefits materially from this theological position? If the answer is the guy delivering the theology to the tune of several $1 billion, well, you found your con. Thiel doesn't want AI regulated. Thiel has enormous financial stakes in AI being unregulated. Thiel has now declared that AI regulation is the work of the Antichrist. This isn't a coincidence requiring a theology degree to decode. This is a man putting his thumb on the scale and calling the thumb Jesus. Carrie Harrison Files, carrieharrison.com. We're talking about PayPal and Palantir inventor Peter Thiel, flown to Rome, steps from the Vatican, hand-selected billionaires in the room, teaching them that climate scientists and AI regulators are literally agents of Satan. There's no press. Everyone has an NDI, and it's all based on a dead Nazi legal theorist from 80 years ago, using all of that as a theological blueprint. And you thought the Germans lost World War II. So we're looking at who's selling it, who's buying it, and how to make sure it's not you. In our Carrie Harrison Files, 6 steps to not being raptured up by a billionaire, let's jump to step 2, shall we? How to avoid being raptured up by that tech billionaire. Understand that it's too complicated for you. That's step 2. It's just too complicated for you. That's a power move, not a fact. One of the great unspoken hustle techniques of the oligarch class, formerly it used to be us on each other, but we're sort of no longer empowered to even do it at that level. But one of the great unspoken hustle techniques of the oligarch class is the deliberate cultivation of complexity. The sense that whatever they're doing is simply too sophisticated for regular people to evaluate, for regular people to question, for regular people to govern. Mr. Thiel is doing this with technology. He's doing it with theology. He's doing it with references to Carl Schmitt, Sieg Heil, who you haven't read in the original German, which you don't speak, and he's doing it all in the palazzo you weren't invited to. And the press isn't there, so we can't actually cover it. And everyone has an NDA, so they can't actually talk about it.
If you're over 62, living alone, and have received a collection letter from the IRS, stop what you're doing and listen. You need someone that you can lean on and that will fight for you.
Hi, I'm Matt Levy. I'm the founder of Ovation Tax Group. Every single week, we get thousands of American taxpayers the help that they deserve.
The IRS is now more aggressive and efficient than ever at tracking down people who owe back taxes and have unfiled returns. They could already be preparing to seize your assets, including your pension, 401k, home, or even your Social Security. But here's the good news. You may qualify for special relief programs, especially if you are older than 62. Call us now. We specialize in helping seniors get relief from IRS collections, wage garnishments, and bank levies. In many cases, we can get tax debt completely forgiven, or at least drastically reduced, with a great repayment plan.
Call us. We'll protect you, we'll fight for you, and we'll win for you. We're Ovation Tax Group.
Call now, 866-204-0972. 866-204-0972. 866-204-0972.